very powerful king, and in fact, you are from Germany, right? So in Germany, you know this king not as Charles I. You know him there as Charles V. So Karl V, because, well, he obviously had 4 other Karls before him in Germany, so that's why you're known as Charles I of Spain and the 5th of Germany. That's how powerful you are. You have 2 different names depending on where you're standing. That's such a great king. So, of course, being such an important, powerful king, well, you did this very well. First of all, you had a baby boy there looking like your son. Very good. And you also ruled the country very well, and by that I mean that you went into a lot of battles and you killed a lot of people. That's what kings were supposed to do back then, so that's why you did a real great job. Sorry?
Everybody killed each other.
Everybody killed each other, yeah, back then that was common, that's what you were supposed to do. So, well, you were basically a pretty great king for Spain, very, very powerful king, and after doing all your duties so well, after being such a great king, well, you were old and you were tired. That's why you decided to retire into a monastery, so you could live quite a life. But there in that monastery, well, you were killed. Chun, chun, chun. By...
You did it.
No, he didn't. Look at him. This is not a face of a killer, come on. No, you were killed by something much smaller than your son, because you were killed by a mosquito. Yes, because he died of malaria, you know, disease transmitted by mosquitoes. So it's pretty funny to think about such a powerful king that killed so many people in battles, crowned by the Pope himself, being killed just like this. So now that you're dead, well, you can go back to seat and have a round of applause because you had a baby boy. Very good, very important. So here's the baby boy. Oh, I forgot to mention one little detail, and is that you had this baby boy with your cousin. Yes. So yeah, we'll see what happens genetically later on. You will see. So just one last thing. If you can just move close over here, because in a minute the Spanish groups will come down this way. So probably you'll have to move later on. Thank you very much. So we are here with your son, and your name is your king's name.
Felipe.
Philip. Very good. Felipe II. You're actually the one that made Madrid the capital city of Spain. Remember when that happened? Remember the dates?
1590.
Almost. 1561. But I'll give it to you. 10 points for you anyway. Anyhow, you remember the century. That's pretty great. So in 1561, that's when you made Madrid the capital city of Spain. That's why you're such an important king for us here in this city. And that's why you're such an important king for us here in this tour. Because otherwise, without you, we wouldn't be here doing this tour. Thank you very much. And well, Philip II, you were a very, very lucky king. You were even luckier than your father. Because, well, your father inherited a lot of territories, well, you inherited even more territories than him. Because he got pretty much almost everything he had, we said before, but you also added even more territories. To this already huge empire, you also added your mother's territories. Your mother, remember, she was the cousin of your father. Well, she happened to be a princess of Portugal. And since she was a princess of Portugal, well, you pretty much said, well, let's claim Portugal. And by claiming Portugal, you added Portugal and its territories, including Brazil. You know, you probably knew that Brazil used to belong to Portugal, so now Brazil belongs to the Spanish Empire too, so pretty much all America belongs to Spain, but also many territories all along the coast of Africa and all along the coast of India also used to belong to Portugal. So now all that also belongs to the Spanish Empire. But you didn't stop there, because this already insanely huge empire, you also added the Philippines, you know, that country in Southeast Asia, well, also used to belong to the Spanish Empire and was added to this empire by you. So now, do we have good students in the classroom over here that noticed something about the Philippines? Very good. Philip, the Philippines, Philip, the Philippines, Philip, the Philippines, yes, the Philippines are named after Philip II of Spain. Pretty crazy. The country is so far away from Spain. Still today is named after a king that ruled Spain during the 1500s. That's how badass you are. You have a country named after you. What else could you ask for? Nothing, right?
Actually.
What do you want to ask for? Another country?
Maybe
100 countries? Oh my god, that's way too much. I will give you only one, but it's a really important one.
I'll own all the galaxies.
All the galaxies? Well, that's hard. You didn't have spaceships back then, so that's very hard. But I'll give you one big important country, if you want, called England.
Yes.
England's pretty good, right? Finally, you had pretty much the rest of the world before you had England. So, well, believe it or not, this guy also became the King of England because he simply got married to the Queen of England. The Queen of England back then happened to be Mary Tudor, also known as Bloody Mary. You know, she was known as Bloody Mary because she was very, very Catholic, and she loved killing Protestant people. And since you were very Catholic too, you also enjoyed killing Protestant people. That was great for you. That's why you loved Mary so much, and that's why you got married to Bloody Mary, and that's why you became the consort king of England. So you were ruling England along with Mary, only for 5 years, because after 5 years of marriage, Mary died, and since you didn't have any babies together, you had to leave England and come back here to Spain. But you loved that rainy place so much that you wanted to conquer it back. That's why you sent the Spanish Armada to go and invade England. But it was a miserable failure. As you may know, we had a huge storm in the middle and almost all the boats sunk. So it was a great, great disaster. You never managed to conquer England. So that's why you guys in England basically don't speak Spanish. And well, even if you got England and you lost it and you never managed to conquer it back, you were still ruling pretty much the rest of the world, because you had territories all over America, in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, and that's why your empire is the first empire in history ever known as the empire where the sun never sets, which was actually true. The sun was always shining somewhere in one of your territories. Isn't that great? You are simply the greatest king Spain ever had. That's pretty cool, right? And well, of course, being such a great, important, powerful king, you did this very well. First of all, you had a baby boy there standing next to you, looking like his father. Very good. Very tall baby, right? So, you had a baby boy, which is very good. Also, you ruled the country very well, and you were known to be very religious, but most importantly, you were also known to be very hard worker, and that's very useful to be a hard-working person. If you want to rule all that vast empire, keep it all united and unified together, you need to be a very hard-working person. That's why you did such a great job. That's why you are the best king Spain ever had, and you died because of old age. You didn't die any odd circumstances death. You didn't die because of drinking water, because of mosquitoes, nothing like that. You just died because you were old. So that's pretty great for you. And now that we know what you did, well, you can go back to your seat and have a round of applause because you had a baby boy. Oh, and one last thing. You had this baby boy with your niece. Sorry, everything was so great, you know, something bad had to come, and well, this is the bad thing that came. The baby you had with your niece. So you have to imagine that, right? Your father was the uncle of your mother. Beautiful, loving family. So, do you remember your name? Felipe, very good. Philip III. Actually, you're the one we've seen in Plaza Mayor. Remember that guy riding the horse with the birds inside of it, the one who blew up in 1931? Well, that's you there in Plaza Mayor. And well, Philip III, you know, we were talking about the rise and fall of the Spanish Empire. So we've seen the rise, and now comes the fall. So I'm really sorry for you two guys, but you got the worst kings. And the thing is that it all starts to go south because of you. Because you, Philip III, well, you inherited from your father his strong religious conviction, but not as much his belief in hard work. That's why I personally like to call you the lazy king. So I'm really sorry for you, but you were very, very lazy. You did absolutely nothing during your child life. But I mean, nothing at all. Well, just one thing is staying right there. That's probably the only thing you've done in your child life. But apart one important thing, but that's the only one you've done. So apart from doing that, well, you really didn't do much. And the real bad thing was not that the king was lazy. The real bad thing was that most of the nobility and the higher classes of Spain were also very, very lazy, because they were insanely rich. They had such vast amounts of gold and silver coming from the mines in America that no one really bothered to work. They thought it was dishonorable to work. That's why no one worked, and that's why you can imagine the Spanish Empire started to fall, thanks to you. Thank you very much. But well, even if you didn't rule the country well, you had the baby boy, so that's half of your duties done there. So that's why you will be able to go back to sit with a roll of applause. But before that, wait, I have to kill you first, because you're not dead yet. So can you guess how you died? In your bed, doing nothing, like the rest of your life, like the lazy king you are. So now that you're dead, you can go back to sit and have a round of applause because you had a baby boy. Very important. And of course, this being a family tradition, you had this baby boy with your cousin. Correct. Wonderful tradition. Yeah, the genetics were great in this family. So here we are, and your name is? Patrick Felipe. So, Felipe, you are Felipe the Fourth. Actually, you are my father. Remember, I'm standing here next to you. Philip the Fourth, Charles II, the two last kings of the Habsburg dynasty. And, Philip, Daddy. Let me start with your nickname, okay? So don't take this too personal, but I like to call you the loser king. So I'm really sorry for you, but well, you inherited a falling empire from your lazy father. It's all his fault. You tried very, very hard. You went into a lot of battles, lots of wars, but you probably lost most of those wars. That's why I like to call you the loser king. But well, even if you didn't rule the country well, we can still say a couple of things about you that were pretty great. First of all, Me, Charles II, a baby boy. Yeah, a baby boy. Not that bad. Half of it is done here. And the other great thing we can say about you was that you loved art. And it was great for Spain because since you were so fond of art, you commissioned a lot of paintings to your official painter. And your official painter back then happened to be Velázquez, the greatest painter in Spanish history ever. And he was painting portraits of the loser king. So it's very ironic. But thanks to you, we have so many paintings made by this great genius. So that's why even if you didn't rule the country well, you still had me. You had Velázquez. Not that bad. That's why you'll be able to go back sit with a round of applause. But before that, again, I have to kill you first. So you didn't die any odd sickness of death, no drinking water, no mosquitoes, no battle, no poisoning, no assassination, nothing strange like that, like your ancestors. You just died because of an illness when you were 60 years old. So dying at the age of 60 back then in late 1600 was still considered pretty old. So you died at the age of 60 because of illness. Not that bad after all for that time. So now that we know why you're dead, you can go back to sit and have a round of applause because you still had a baby boy. With your niece, of course.
Yeah.
Obviously, family tradition. So my father was again the uncle of my mother. Really loving, beautiful family. You can imagine our family reunions were very, very small. So here I am, Charles II, Carlos II, el hechizado, meaning the bewitched, the cursed. Why was I called the cursed king? Well, I was called the cursed king because people back then in the late 1600s really thought that I was bewitched and cursed because of all these afflictions I was suffering from. So I will describe myself and you will understand why I was the bewitched. So first of all, I had a very, very big head. I also had a very, very large jaw. I also had a tongue and lips so big I couldn't really speak properly. I also had a bone disease, so I was not able to walk very well, and in the late days I was not even able to stand up very well. I was also mentally retarded, but much more importantly for the Spanish crown, I was also important. That's why there's no one standing after me. That's why I'm the last king of the Habsburg dynasty here in Spain, and because of all these afflictions I was suffering from, people back then really thought that I was bewitched and cursed. But we all know nowadays, I was not bewitched at all. This was the only result of 4 generations of inbreeding, of incest, right? Marrying cousin with cousin, uncle with niece. That could lead to no good when, well, someone had to pay the bill. Me, poor Charles II. So I didn't rule the country at all. My councillors did, but it was a very, very bad situation for Spain. Spain was already falling apart. Having this disabled king didn't really help. So that's why it was a very awful situation for Spain until I died on the very, very spooky date of Halloween 1700. So this guy even dies on the night of Halloween. How cursed can you be? I don't know. But anyways, when I died, they opened my will, and there in my will they found a name, the name of the person that was going to inherit Spain. But that name was not the name everyone was expecting, because my cousins from the Habsburg dynasty, well, they thought they would inherit Spain, but no. Because in that will of mine, I had written down the name of one of my grandnephews coming from the other side of my family. And the name of my grandnephew was Philippe d'Anjou, a French guy, a Bourbon from the Bourbon dynasty. This is exactly why the Bourbon dynasty is still ruling Spain nowadays. You know, Spain is still a monarchy, and the king we have nowadays is from that Bourbon dynasty. By the way, do you know what the name of our actual king is? It's very complicated. Felipe, very good. So it's Felipe VI. You said Juan Carlos, that was the father of our actual king. So Juan Carlos, Felipe, all named the same. So nowadays we have Felipe VI, and well, the first, that is the king we have now, but the first king from the Bourbon dynasty, so my grandnephew in the early 1700s was Philip V. And this Philip V had a claim for the French crown and the Spanish crown. Way too much power for only one person. So this is why they started a war, the war for the Spanish Empire, the war for the succession of the Spanish Empire. That would last for pretty much 15 long years, and it would end when eventually this French king renounced his claim for the French crown and was able to become the king of Spain. But having that war that lasted for 15 years was exactly what Spain was not needing. After having the lazy king, the loser king, the disabled king, having a war of 15 years, well, that was very, very bad for Spain, and that's why, well, this really brought to an end to the Spanish Empire, so to the Spanish Golden Age. Still, after that, Spain was still a big, important country, but not as powerful as it used to be, maybe, let's say, just about 50 years before that. So that's why we consider the early 1700s to be the end of the Spanish Golden Age, and it's also, by the way, the end of our history lesson. And this is how you pretty much compress 200 years of Spanish history into 20-25 minutes. Did you survive? Yes, you made it. Very good. No one fell asleep. I'm really proud of you. So now, let me check the time very quickly. All right, great.